Greetings and welcome to the Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the updated FAQs and Erratas for Kill Team. But before getting into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video if you found it useful and helpful. Remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, an affiliate link and Discord code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support as well. But yeah, I'm in America, I'm an egg, I'm so valuable, and what's more valuable, the FAQ and Erratas have been updated. So I'm going to go through everything now. If you have the Kill Team app, you need to manually update it. So let me go through all the changes for you. So starting off with the core rules, coming to Erratas for Killzone Vocus City Fight rules door fights. In the select enemy operative step, instead select an enemy operative on the kill zone floor and within 2 inches on the other side of a door the active operative is touching. This effectively kills what I coined floor fighting, where you could fight someone on the floor above the vantage door, which, you know, is fine, so that's fixed. Then for Torrent, select a valid target as normal as the primary target, then select any number of other valid targets within X of the first valid target, but not within control range of friendly operatives as secondary targets, e.g. Torrent 2, I guess because people were saying they could shoot enemy operatives in control range because they were valid targets, but that's been fixed, which is nice. Then for movement and jumping, operatives can jump from vantage terrain higher than 2 inches from the kill zone floor when they move off it. You can move up to 4 inches horizontally from the edge when they jump, done like any other move except in one straight line increments. The operative must then drop or climb from there. When jumping from a terrain feature, if there is a rampart at the edge you would jump from, you must climb it first before doing so, but still jump from the level of the vantage terrain. When jumping to a terrain feature, you can ignore any of its height difference of 1 inch or less, including any rampart if it has any. So what does this do? This stops people jumping off barricades or climbing up a wall and then jumping 2 inches from a wall instead of like climbing the full effect. So I was going to cover this in a jumping video because there was a lot of jump tech, but this has effectively been killed, which was good. I will miss the days of using a portable barricade to jump over mines. But to be fair, it would turn Kill Team into a weird game of parkour, so it kind of needed to be happened. So now you can only jump off of vantage points. You have to, like, so if you're on a terrain that is vantage, you have to climb to the top of the rampart if you want to jump. So you can't just climb up halfway then jump. You can still jump from a rampart of vantage terrain onto another piece of terrain and still climb it, but you just can't do the silly jumps that we could do before, like climbing a wall and then jumping off the wall. So parkour Kill Team is gone. Then for some more questions, if my operative is on vantage terrain and shooting a weapon would seek light against an operative in cover from light terrain, can I elect to only use the seek weapon rule, denying the improved cover saves from the vantage terrain? Yes, this only, I guess, applies mainly to Phobos Strike Team, but it's a useful interaction, one I didn't think of, so it's nice that it's clarified. Then in the third effective vantage terrain, for the purposes of obscured, what does heavy terrain connected to the vantage terrain mean? Connected here refers to any part of the same terrain feature, so basically if you're in a vantage terrain you can't be obscured by any part of heavy in it. Does the additional movement cost to climb or move through accessible terrain features count towards distance restrictions of rules, for example Plague means lumbering death? Yes, so this is actually a bit of a nerf, but it will, spoilers for what's coming in the moment, but effectively let's say you have to move 3 inches or less during your activation. If you move 1 inch and then climb something and then you move 2 more inches, so you moved, you're within 3 inches of where you've started but you've 6 inches of movement, you now count the climb towards that, so a bit of a nerf. And then does the additional movement cost to move through accessible terrain features count towards the maximum 2 inches an operative can move during a counteraction? Yes. Note that this means operatives cannot normally move through accessible terrain during a counteraction. So this ties up a lot of issues people were having with counteracting. So now if you counteract, you cannot move through accessible terrain. A lot of us were playing it that way, but now it's clarified, which is good to see. When does a player keep initiative until? Until the winner of the roll-off decides who has initiative in the next initiative step. Note that this means the player that had initiative in the previous turning point would resolve the precedence of any simultaneous rolls affecting the next initiative step. So if there were any rules interactions and timing issues that would occur before rolling for initiative, the previous person would decide. So just more clarification, which is nice. When a rule states in an order of your choice, so for example Sanctifiers, Is that referring to conceal or engage orders? No. In an order of your choice refers to the sequence in which the rule is resolved. In this example's case, the sequence in which operatives move. Yeah. You know, I'm glad someone asked that question. Very important. And then in the core rules, it states you can never reroll a dice more than once. Can I use a rule to make my opponent reroll a dice that's already been rerolled? No. So you can never reroll a dice more than once, no matter what source. For Angels of Death, tilting shields have had a slight clarification. Change the relevant part in the first sentence to read, after your opponent rolls their attack dice, but before rerolls, you can use this rule. So we were generally already playing it this way, but a nice clarification helps when people decide when to use tilting shields or when to use their rerolls and other effects, so nice clarifications there. Battleclade have had their rules added and with some updates, which is always nice. For Servile Surrogacy, if it's the shoot action, that servitor operative is only in cover obscured if the original target was, so just clarifying how it works like with other ploys. Then the medic has been updated to work like other medic rules. So for example, it doesn't work with blast and doesn't work with torrent if it's also selected as a valid target. So nice clarifications there. Then if my opponent uses a rule that would cancel or interrupt when I would activate an operative, for example Vox Scream or Haunting Focus, can I use System Exorcism, the firefight ploy, to stop my opponent's rule from taking effect? Yes, System Exorcism can be used anywhere within the would activate rule resolution order, including before interrupt effects or after firefight ploys, taking precedence over such rules and the player with initiative deciding. Very nice. This was already a powerful ploy and it makes it even better, which is great for the Battleclade as a whole. Blades of Khaine have seen some updates. So for Striking Scorpion Aspect Technique, Strike and Fade, use this aspect technique when a friendly Striking Scorpion operative incapacitates an enemy operative while fighting or retaliating and is no longer within 3 inches of the enemy operatives. So just clarifying, because before it could technically work with shooting, but now clarifies it actually is when fighting or retaliating, so good. Then if I use the Reign of Tears Howling Banshee aspect technique but I'm prevented from performing a free fallback action, what happens? The aspect technique is still used, the fight sequence ends, but that Blades of Khaine Howling Banshee operative remains in its current location, so just like chain snares and stuff. If I use the Strike and Fade Striking Scorpion aspect technique, could an opponent interrupt my activation as a result of guard before I change my operative order? Nope, but they can interrupt before the Striking Scorpion performs a free dash action, so now, once again, nice clarifications there. For Brood Brothers, they've all operatives now have the Tyrannid rule added, which is very interesting. Before, that was only the Patriarch, so now all operatives have the Tyrannid keyword. And then the Commander operative, its Strategic Gambit can only be used if it's in the kill zone, which is very nice. It fixes a lot of issues. Note, it can still affect operatives not in the kill zone, even technically on other tables, but otherwise this is a good clarification. And spoilers, a lot of operatives are now clarified that their abilities only work while they're in the kill zone. For Chaos Cult, Unleash the Demon has been clarified. Use this firefight ploy during a friendly Chaos Cult or Mutant or Torment activation before or after it performs an action. Very good, because at the currently, well, before this you could just spend at any point during your action or activation, so it's just clarifying the timing windows, which is very useful for both the Chaos Cult player and the opponent. So Elucidian Starstriders have apparently had an update, but nothing has changed. Literally nothing has changed. I think the app just messed up, but I'm pointing it here so people don't ask why I am not updating Elucidian Starstriders. Nothing has changed, but the app says something has, and it hasn't in the update log. For Farstalker Kinband, Call the Kill from your leader is only usable while this operative is in the kill zone, which is great. And then for the Pistolier operative, for the salvo weapon rule, select up to 2 different valid targets that aren't within control range of friendly operatives. Now, I'll be smug now, but basically, with prior wording, you could select the same target twice. They've effectively eliminated that, and they will do that for all the other operatives with similar rules. So very nice. Goremongers have had some changes. So for Khorne's Favour rule, once during each of this operative's activations, before or after it performs an action, if its score tank is empty, you can then fill it by 1 level for your leader. So once again, clarifying timing. Then if a melee weapon has the balanced or relentless weapon rule as a result of enhanced violence, and this is then used as a ranged weapon as a result of wrist chains, Does this new ranged weapon still have the balance or relentless rule? No. So that's just a big nerf, but that's great. I know most Goremongers were playing it this way, but some were playing as if they still had balance and relentless. So this is actually a good nerf for everyone. And then when determining whether a friendly operative's Gore tank is full for the purpose of enhanced violence strategy ploy, do I check before or after decreasing its Gore tank for any sanguivite rage for the action? After. So you can't. It's basically once again more timing, which is very good. So you have to basically make sure you're using it correctly when your Gore tank is full. For Hand of the Archon power from playing, the second sentence has been changed. You cannot use more than one invigoration per activation or counteraction, except stimulated senses, which can be used once per activation or counteraction in addition to any other invigoration. And then just more clarifying, which is great. And then for the cunning rule for your leader, you can only use it while in the kill zone. So just changes like everything else. For Hearthkyn salvages, proximate firepower. So this has been updated, so this can allow you to apply or remove hit stat changes during an action. This takes precedence over the core rules, because there were some people arguing that it wouldn't actually work, the proximate firepower buff, so this has now just been clarified. And then for the Thain operative, Eye of the Ancestors, and your Cognitar Tactician rule, both of these can only be used while those operatives are in the kill zone. Then for Hernkyn Jaeger, your Thain operative Veteran Adventurer can only be used while this operative is in the kill zone, which once again is changes which all other similar operatives have seen. Then for Hierotek Circle, for the Chronomancer, Psychomancer, Technomancer, with the interstitial command action, you change it to read visible to and within 6 inches of this operative, or visible to and within 6 of a friendly Despotech operative that's visible to this operative. So before it was just within 6 of a Despotech, so now they also have to be visible and within 6, so a slight nerf, but nothing really major. And then for another question, can an operative on guard interrupt and perform a point-blank shot action against an enemy operative within control range of another friendly operative using the magnify weapon rule? No. So this is actually pretty a big nerf, because what people would do, you would charge like an immortal or something, and then they would use magnify guard with like the Cryptek or a Prentech and then shoot point blank, but they can't do that anymore, so quite a big nerf. Then Hunter Clade, their buff is everyone has had the Imperium keyword added, which something I wasn't aware of that they missed, so that's a change. So then for the Inquisitorial Agents, for the Tome rules, you can only use it if this operative is in the kill zone for your Interrogator. And then for the Scrivener rule, for the extra CP, this operative also has to be in the kill zone to use it, so no big changes, just more clarifications. Then for Kommandos, if a bomb squig is incapacitated during a door hatchway fight action, is the operative for that secondary target a shoot action caused by the boom rule? No, but I think if you are actually within control range, then, well, you wouldn't be able to do a door or hatchway fight, so just clarifying there. Then for Mandrakes, if 2 Dirgemores meet each other, select each other with their Haunting Focus rule, which operative activates in the following instance? Operative A is selected to activate normally, then Operative B would attempt to activate first as a result of Haunting Focus, then Operative A would attempt to activate first as a result of the same rule? No, so Operative B. So it's whoever would trigger first triggers instead of you trigger and trigger. So a good clarification there. And then when a Dirgemore is shooting with its horrifying scream range weapon and negatively change the target's APL as a result of the stun weapon rule, does that change the defense dice rolled for the target during that sequence? No, as an operative, stats don't change during an activation or an action. So this is actually a nerf, but I've been playing it the other way, so it's actually unfortunately a nerf for Mandrakes, but following how the game works. Then for Novitiates, note that this ploy has no effect if that friendly operative is incapacitated during that action, or if the Act of Faith doesn't cost any points. So if someone's killed, you can't use the effects of Blessed Rejuvenation. And then finally for the Penitent, if it's affected by the Exactor's Whip into Frenzy, how many fight actions can it perform in an activation? Up to 4. 2 as a result of the Whipped into Frenzy, and 2 as a result of Absolution through Destruction. So they've decided to keep that, which is actually technically a huge buff to Novitiates. So if your Penitent can survive, it can fight 4 times in an activation, which is great for Novitiates. Then for Pathfinders, for your Shazui's Operative Art of War, you can only use it if the operative is in the kill zone, once again following the standard rules clarifications for every other similar operative. Then for Plague Marines, for Curse of Rot, for each result of 3 they roll, inflict 1 damage on the enemy operative. That result cannot be retained as a success, and they cannot re-roll it. So once again, a slight buff for Curse of Rot, but just more clarification there. Then for Ratlings, for sniper positions, when a friendly Ratling operative is more than 6 inches from enemy operatives and within 1 inch of heavy terrain, that stationary profile of its rifle has the silent weapon rule. So before this was control range, so this basically means when they're on vantage terrain, for example on the Volcus one, if the ramparts have light, but only the ramparts, but the bit below it of the wall is still heavy, so now you can actually trigger being silent from those kind of, well, vantage positions, which makes sense for the rule. So it's actually a nice little buff to Ratlings there. Then for Raveners, for Slitherine Evasion, the first sentence has been changed to read: uses Firefight ploy during a friendly Ravener operative's activation or counteraction, before or after it performs an action, so just clarifying timing there, which is good. Then for Sanctifiers, for the Conflagrator, select up to 2 different valid targets that aren't within control range of enemy operatives, and then the Cherub now has super cover as well, so nice clarification there. Then some rules require an operative to shoot or fight against a specific operative, or its activation is cancelled, for example the Dirge Maw. If my opponent uses such a rule and I can cancel that shoot or fight with my Sanctifier operative's Confessor ability, what happens? Do not cancel that enemy operative's activation. It can continue to perform actions other than the one prevented. So very powerful buff there. And then if my opponent uses a Firefight ploy that requires an operative shoot or fight action and I cancel that with my Confessor, is the CP refunded? No. Similar, any rules with restrictions of a number of uses, for example with the Falark, that are prevented would still be considered used. So very powerful clarification buffs for Sanctifiers, which is nice for Sanctifiers. Then for Scout Squad, uses Firefight ploy during a friendly Scout operative's activation, before or after it performs an action. So just nice clarification of its timing there. For Tempestus Aquilons, for Gunfighter Salvo, select up to 2 different valid targets that are within control range of friendly operatives. So just this universal clarification there for certain Gunfighter operatives. Then for the Vespid, they've seen a question: if there are no enemy operatives within 8 inches of a friendly Vespid operative, do I need to spend a communion point to target an enemy with more than 8 inches from it? Yes. These questions were important. Then for Wrecka Krew, the Boss Knob the Boss Knob Salvo weapon rules once again being clarified. Select up to 2 different valid targets that aren't within control range of friendly operatives. And then for rules clarifications with the Bomb Squig, if it's incapacitated during a door hatchway fight, as similar with the Commando one, not as a result of the door or hatchway fight rules. Note that Kaboom Firefight ploy may cause the other operative to become a valid target during some hatchway fight actions because you can increase the range for CP, but good clarifications there. And then if a Wrecka Krew Crusher operative is using its Smasher weapon rule to move an enemy operative and during that move marker would end its action is within that enemy operative's control range, e.g. Hypex Mines but not the Crusher operative control range, does that fight action end? No. So just clarifying for some weird, unique scenarios, which is nice. Then for Wyrmblade, Unquestioning Loyalty has been updated. If it's the shoot action, that other operative is only in cover and obscured if the original target was, which means they forgot to do it the first time and no one noticed. Well, almost no one. So thank goodness it's been clarified now. So for the FAQ and Errata overview, it's actually once again been very nice. We've had some key things clarified, namely you now can only jump off vantage ramparts, so you can't jump off anything before, so which kind of kills parkour. If you're counteracting, your movement as far as you can move is literally 2 inches, so you can no longer move through accessible terrain, even if you're on a 25mm base, because you'll spend 1 inch for the counteract to move through the accessible terrain, then you need to add more than 1 inch to clear your base. So basically, if you counteract, you can't really move anywhere. That costs a paid terrain. Then they've clarified like gunfighters, anything with salvo, so they are 2 different valid targets. And then basically every operative's ability only works while they're in the kill zone for stuff like like the Commander from Brood Brothers, and then like Hearthkyn salvages. So most of tidy ups, and then there's some timing issues, big buffs for like Novitiates who can fight 4 times. The Confessor is even better for Sanctifiers, and even with the Battleclade, the Exorcism rule is really strong. It can stop like stuff like Vox Scream, which is huge, shutting off those abilities, which makes that kill team even better. But generally there's been some slight buffs and nerfs, but mostly just clarifications, especially a lot of unique interactions for certain kill teams, which is very good to see. I do like how they're approaching the FAQ and Erratas. I think pretty much everything has been asked now, where like the big issues have been clarified, which is very good. You know, some of it was overdue, like stuff working when they weren't in the kill zone, although I'd still like this to drop when a balanced data slates drop, but they seem to be kind of doing like, they'll do it like now 6 weeks from each other. So every 6 weeks you'll get some kind of balance change, whether it's a balanced data slate or FAQs and Erratas. But overall I'm very happy with everything, and I think, you know, once we get the balanced data slate, the game will be in an amazing spot. But it's really good how the developers are answering and like all these unique scenarios and even niche scenarios, but also being open to changing stuff fully. So like, for example, with the being in the kill zone thing, they've changed it for every operative instead of just saying a blanket, oh no, now you have to be in the kill zone to use your abilities. So I really like how they're approaching stuff. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Was it useful or helpful, and what do you think of the balance updates? Was there any missing from the FAQs and Erratas? Remember, I've got Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, an affiliate link and discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. So thank you to all my patrons. It really means a lot to me and you help support the channel. But yeah, I'm in America. I actually recorded another video yesterday which was supposed to come out today, but that'll come out next week now. I'm on holiday. So yeah, you get to enjoy Goudet crit for one more video, because eggs are so precious. But remember, no matter how many times your rules are changed or clarified, you always have a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.